Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. We're glad to have you all here today as we allow everyone some time to join in. Today, we are going to launch a quick poll and let our participants answer this poll if you would like to. So our question is, how comfortable do you feel in supporting students in their transition to college? So you should see some poll answers pop up there. And we'll give everyone some time to answer that question so our presenters will know where you stand there. So Kirsten, for some reason, I'm not seeing the answers to the poll. Participants are those that are speaking. Are y'all seeing the answers there? So,
We've got about 15 or so 88% responses. So we'll give everybody a few more seconds to get your responses as friends are joining us, and then we'll close it in about 5 seconds, and then I'll share those results out.
Kirsten. All right. So it looks like most of our participants feel, about 60% of them say they feel very comfortable assisting students, and then the other percentage, about 40%, saying they are somewhat comfortable assisting their students. So our goal today is to give y'all some strategies and some programming that you can use when working with your students making that transition to college. So we look forward to that. So first of all, we want to welcome you again to the webinar. I am Shannon Grimsley, the Assistant Director of External Training and Partnerships for the Woodward Hines Education Foundation and the Get to College program. We are recording today's session, and we will send a link to anyone who is registered. For those watching this recording, today's date is Tuesday, March the 5th, 2024, and the material in this webinar is current through the 23-24 school year. As Kirsten mentioned earlier, this is a webinar. We cannot see or hear you, but do feel free to use the chat box or the Q&A at any time to place your questions there for our presenters. So we are glad to be here today. I am running the webinar, and then Kirsten is on the back end of the webinar, and she will be looking at the Q&A box and asking our presenters any of those questions that may come up during the webinar. So in today's session, panel of professionals supporting the college transition, you will hear from a panel of college success professionals about ways to support students in their college transition to hopefully limit some of our summer melt that we see. I will now share a little background on Get to College and a few logistics about our webinar before we get started. Get to College is a nonprofit program of the Woodward Hines Education Foundation. We have 3 centers in Mississippi, one here in Jackson, one in Ocean Springs, and one in South Haven. And we help parents, students, and high school counselors with all aspects of the college planning and financial aid process. And all of our services are completely free. In our centers, we offer personalized college counseling appointments where we can help students know when to apply for admission and scholarship, help fill out their FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, or we can also advise on essay writing and interviewing. So we are delighted today to have a great group of panelists. So first of all, we have Dr. Ashley Burnside from the University of Southern Mississippi, and she is the director for the Center for Student Success. We also have with us today Dr. TJ Walker from Mississippi State University, He is the Director of Diversity Programs and Student Development in the College of Forest Resources. And then lastly, we have Kristen Land. Kristen is at Delta State University, and she is the Interim Director of the Student Success Center. So Dion was not able to be with us today. So we are very glad to have TJ and Ashley and Kristen with us today. And so without further ado, we are going to start the panel. And we are going to do this in a panel style lecture. I will be asking questions of the panelists, and we'll give each one of them the opportunity to answer the question and then highlight their program. So first of all, I want to do an introductory question. So for each panelist, if you will give us or tell us about your role at your institution and what experiences you might have had as a college student that led you to want to work in the area of student success and transition. So Ashley, it looks like we got some flashing lights in your background there. So we will let you start with that question.
Thank you. Please forgive me. I have automatic lights in my office that if I don't move for a certain amount of time, they like to go off.
That's awesome.
So it makes for an interesting time.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of the Center for Student Success, our office is basically a main hub on USM's campus for academic support services and really kind of being a hub for students that are not quite sure where to go if they have a question, a concern. We can be that location that can act as an advocate for the students. While we are open and happy to go and help any undergraduate student, we particularly focus on students who are navigating their first year, first generation students, transfer students, helping students through that sophomore slump as well. And so we have, a lot of, I would say, particular student subpopulations under our umbrella that we're very active and involved with, but we're actively engaged and super enthusiastic about making sure that the student experience for all USM students is a good and positive one. In terms of what got me engaged in student success, it actually predates kind of my college experience. I grew up with a special needs brother, and so I always really wanted to make sure that students, just because I had seen kind of from a personal perspective, students maybe needing different techniques or different resources to go and make sure that they were able to meet their optimal potential, because so many of the students that I see are incredibly smart and capable and can do an inordinate amount of things. But it just was certainly one of those things where, sometimes if a door isn't open, you got to open a window. And so to be able to do that, I was really informed by my personal experience. So I certainly see this as not only a professional obligation, but a personal one.
Thank you so much, Ashley. So we are glad you're here today, Dion. We know technical issues sometimes are interesting when you're trying to get on a webinar. So Dion Triplett has joined us as well from ICC, the Man Up program at ICC. So Dion, just to kind of fill you in on the first question that we're asking, we would like for you to give your role at your institution and maybe what experiences you might have had as a college student that led you to work in the area of student success and transition.
Okay, well, first of all, let me say good morning to each of you. Yeah, my name is Dion Triplett. I work for the Itawamba Community College, the Man Up Coordinator. It is the male initiative program that fosters leadership skills to the African-American males here on campus. So we do everything from community involvement, social skills, mental health care to the African-American males. And however, we are geared towards African-American males. We have ladies too, because the ladies do feel that, hey, I need that too. So So we're really for everybody. My personal experience, first of all, me being an African American male, my personal experience is just understanding the lows of just the male pressure while in college. Especially being an African American male, a lot of times the males we ask for help, but we ask for help at the bottom when everything is already falling apart. And so what we do with the Man Up, we try to contact and make contact with these males before things fall apart. And I was actually, my personal experience, I was one of those that was afraid to ask for help when I was here at Itawamba Community College. And it wasn't a lot of people, males that looked like me that I kind of felt comfortable with. So I was one of those that kind of fell between the cracks. However, I needed someone to say, hey, I got your back. Let me help you out. Let me get you this. So that's what my face is here on campus. And I have had people in my community, in my life to assist me along the way. And so that's what we try to provide here at Itawamba Community College.
Very much, Dion. That sounds like a great program that we look forward to hearing more about as we progress through the webinar. Kristen, sorry, we have a Kirsten on our end. Kristen, we will move over to you.
Yes, I'm Kristen Land. I'm the interim director for the Student Success Center here at Delta State, and I also am the project director for our first year experience program. When I was in college here at Delta State, there was no Student Success Center. And I really I tell students all the time, I wish there had been. Maybe I wouldn't have changed my major probably more than 20 times if I had had some assistance to kind of help guide me and put me in the right path. And I probably might have graduated on time instead of taking 5 years or longer to finish my degree. But my background is in K-12 education as a special education teacher. And so this work of, helping students that are struggling with the transition and completing their degrees is really something that I've always been passionate about.
Thanks so much, Kristen. I am a Delta State grad, and there was also not a Student Success Center when I was there. So I'm glad that y'all are there now. TJ.
Thank you, Shannon. So again, I'm TJ Walker. I'm here at Mississippi State in the College of Forest Resources, currently serving as Director of Diversity Programs and Student Development. And so my work is focused on recruitment, retention, and career advancement for all of our students, but specific programs designed for underrepresented minorities and women. As we know, within the College of Forest Resources, there's a lack of diversity in our field. There's a lack of diversity in our academic college. And so we're currently focusing on changing that, broadly speaking. And so my personal experiences definitely influenced my work. They've influenced my educational journey. I'm a small town guy from Prentiss, Mississippi, small town, low income family. Stumbled to Mississippi State in 2003 and somehow graduated. Really didn't know what I was doing when I made that decision. My academic major was something that sounded good at the time, and so I chose that. That was the research that I did. And so as I matriculated through college, I sort of figured out what I wanted to do, what pathway I wanted to be on, what made the most sense at the time. But like Dion said, and many of our other panelists, just stumbling my way through college, I really didn't know what I was doing, didn't have access to the resources, or didn't know where the resources were, or who to talk to about it. And as we all know, there are resources all over all of our campuses, but many times our students don't know where to start, don't know who to ask, don't know who to talk to. And if you're a first generation student, asking your parents may get you nowhere. No offense to my parents. And so for me, just having that lived experience as a student, but also transitioning to an admissions counselor, which was my first professional job, being able to recruit in the Mississippi Delta, recruit in Jackson Public Schools, then transitioning to get to college where I served a few years and worked alongside you all, Shannon. Just seeing some of the challenges that parents deal with, that our students deal with, it really opened my eye to the field of higher ed more broadly, and really propelled me to pursue more education to kind of find my lane in higher ed and hopefully change the narrative for a lot of our students.
Yeah, and TJ kind of touched on what my next question was going to be. What's the biggest concern or hurdle? I know you all have been in education through different time spans, but right now with our current students, the current population of students, we've got this post-COVID group of students, these students who lived through COVID. We're on college campuses. What's some of the biggest hurdles that you see when students are trying to make that transition from high school to college? Well, TJ, since you're unmuted, you kind of touched on that, but what are some of the real challenges y'all are seeing on college campuses?
So I have a list, and I won't bore y'all with the list, but one of the things that I wrote down was just this battle of what their current life is and what life is going to be like as a college student. I know for me, coming from a small town, there's a certain way of life, how you go about your life every day, and then you're transitioning to this college student. And so you're battling, what you used to be, how you used to be, your identity with your home life, and then you have exposure to all these activities, and you're going to change, and you're going to develop, and you're going to learn new things and be exposed to new things. And so there's this tug of war, I think, individually that students deal with. And that can be a challenge because you don't want to let your parents down, you don't want to let your friends down that you went to high school with, but you're also changing and developing and learning new things that you may like. And so you're kind of in a weird transition phase that can be hard. And for some students, they either commit to the new life and toss out their old life, or they try to hold on to both, and they're just at this weird intersection of who I was and who I want to be. Another thing, and I'll hush, I think access to correct information and resources. Many times students will say, well, they told me I need to talk to this person, and they said this and they said that. And my question to that comment is, well, who is they? And who makes them the authority on that subject? And we have well-meaning family members and well-meaning teachers and well-meaning people in the community who have certain experiences that may be, no offense, antiquated or outdated. And so the way you used to conduct yourself in college in 2003 when I started is totally different from what students will have to do when they show up to our college in the fall. And so while I can share information about my personal experience, it is important that we share correct, up-to-date information. And so if students are being passed along this just outdated personal opinions about certain resources, I think it can be confusing and sometimes lead students to the wrong destination. I'll stop there.
Yeah, that's a great point. And even us here at Get to College, even though we work with students in transition and all of that every day, we're not on the college campuses every day, which is, of course, why we want to have you all. Any of the other panelists have some thoughts on biggest concern or hurdle that you're seeing your students have in this transition?
I can absolutely echo everything that TJ said without question. One of the things that, kind of very much in line with navigating kind of that new life, how do I go and build this new identity if that's the path that I want to choose, is this desire I see in a lot of students to want to do everything all at once. Because there's so much opportunity, there are so many clubs, there are so many interests, whether that is they're academic or not, that there's this feeling like if I don't do it now, that it's gonna kind of go through my hands. And while I applaud that enthusiasm, and I certainly don't want those students to lose that, from a practical sense, a lot of times that leads to overwhelm. That leads to difficulty with time management and prioritization. And that can just be really difficult to help for students to learn how to prioritize what they really need to value in terms of, going and figuring out, okay, if getting my degree is what I'm here for, what do I need to put first there? And then obviously augment with all the things that are going to make me a better, more well-rounded person and make my life flourish, right? The other thing that I have seen is and this is not necessarily, I think, something that is a product of post-COVID, is there's always a reticence for students to be proactive. And so I think going and figuring out a way to change the narrative of being proactive in terms of you're not always just asking for help, which, really a lot of students takes a lot of humility to do. And then changing it to, by doing this, you're really being smart with your time. You're going and you're making sure that you're not spinning your wheels in mud, and you're not getting having more anxiety or more stress over something. It's really being more effective with your time and your energy. And at least in my experience, and I can't say this is universally accepted, obviously, because we work with such diverse populations, but generally that is something that resonates with a lot of students is, oh, well, that's from a practical sense that really translates well to my life.
So just to kind of piggyback off of that, what Ashley was just talking about, the biggest struggle that I see, in addition to all the things that have already been mentioned about, time management and all of that, but it is that piece of self-advocacy, especially for our students with disabilities or exceptional learning needs. And that's kind of my passion, coming from a special education background. But a lot of times we in K-12 almost handicap those students because we do so much for them that they don't even realize what they've been getting that's outside the quote normal, because it's always just been laid out for them. This test, we make such a big deal about not making them look different or feel different that they don't even sometimes realize, what they need individually, and that they're going to have to be able to ask for that. And the autonomy of being able to, make their own decisions and ask for what they need. And then also the rigor of, post-secondary education as opposed to K-12, based on the fact that the burden for students to learn in K-12 is on the teacher. So like when I was in K-12, if you didn't get it, I had to say, what did I do to help you get it? How many remediations did I do? How many times did I remind you to do your homework? How many texts did I send to your mother? All these things. In post-secondary, none of that happens just, innately. So students have to realize what additional things that are happening for them in K-12 that may or may not translate into the post-secondary educational setting that they're going to have to learn to do for themselves, or at least set up processes for themselves that, set reminders. The teacher's not going to tell you 27 times that paper's due tomorrow. They're going to tell you in August that it's due in December and never mention it again. So just expectations, I think, and how the systems work differently.
Dion, you have anything to add to that?
I think they covered every bit of it. I
Okay,
think
perfect.
I also,
Perfect.
but I think though, if I can, if you're gonna ask the next question, I'll start there because I believe that Miss Land just said a mouthful as far as the next one goes. So
Yeah, and is that the question about how they collaborate effectively with folks there, how we can kind of work together to make that transition. So the question I think Dion is referring to is how can high school teachers and counselors collaborate effectively with college representatives, whether it's, admissions representatives or you all in student support, to enhance what their students can know about when they're transitioning to college. So how can we work together to make that transition? So Dion, we'll let you start there.
well, yes, and Miss Land kind of touched bases on that, and also Mr. Walker as well touched on talking about information the more information that we have. But one thing that is a big thing is that the parents don't know. And that is a big thing. So when we talk about collaborating and getting teachers, the more information that we can get into our homes, allowing us as representatives to come into the high schools and to inform the students, inform the parents, because like I told my boss the other day, like I just don't want them to come to Itawamba College and say, "Oh, I want you to take the black man college, the black man class. I want you to be in the black man group." No, I want you to be a part and to know what it is about, you know, and to educate yourself. So if I can get into high schools and to inform the counselors and to talk to the teachers and to talk to the parents and to say, hey, there's a Man Up program at Itawamba Community College there. I think that it'll be great for you to get there and to understand what's going on. I'll be the one to inform them, listen, this life is going to be different from transitioning from high school to college, you know. And so it's just, I think it's a big culture shock when they get to college and they say, you know what, Miss Land, you're right. They didn't tell me that again. They said at the first beginning on the syllabus. And when I was in college, you know what I did with my syllabus? I threw it away. You know, I got the syllabus and I threw it away. I didn't use it until, you know, I got behind. Then it was the better time for me to use. So information is very important.
Yeah, so how, for the others, thinking about ways that we can collaborate with high school counselors, maybe through our programming that are done at the high schools, but maybe even also, most of y'all know, we have the college and career readiness course that's out there in the high schools, but ways that y'all think some of what you're trying to do at your institutions can be incorporated in the curriculum in the high schools. Anybody have thoughts on that they'd like to share?
I would if I can. I think it would be beneficial for our high school educators to understand our various systems. I think at USM they use SOAR, and then we have My State. And so often those of us who work at these institutions, we just throw out this lingo and we throw out these terms and acronyms, and we know what they are. And we just talk to students and we talk to parents who may or not have ever had any access to a college or higher education or know anything about it at all. And so we speak to them with this language that may be foreign to them for whatever reason. And so I think for educators and us college representatives to somehow be able to share information about, okay, what does this mean at my institution? So we use My State. This is the portal, but we also use this system for housing, and then we use this system for financial aid. You know, we all have just a variety of systems, and so as people are engaging with our institutions, especially students who start with zero information. Not only are they trying to figure out how to do the application for admission, not only are they trying to navigate the FAFSA, which is a whole nother conversation, not only are they trying to navigate all these other applications and just this foreign territory, once they get here, we give them a curriculum. We give them a syllabus. And while it may seem just second nature for many of us who engage with higher education for a number of years, some of these words and terms don't make sense. And so that alone can be enough to be a barrier where students and parents, because it's so confusing, but because it's so much, they may give up. And that may sound crazy, or it may sound frustrating to us who are educators. We're like, why are you giving up? If it's that foreign to them, I know for my parents, like if we had some super in-depth conversation about some of the terms, they may have had a similar response that I've had as I engage with parents when I worked at Get to College, talking about some of this college stuff, loosely speaking. And so being able, again, as educators to help K-12 educators just understand our various systems, what students need to understand when we throw out these terms, I think that can be very beneficial to helping them with the transition.
Yes, I agree with that, what TJ just said. And then also, communication and the individualization for those students making those transitions is really vital. Every college, university, post-secondary setting is different. And so being able to understand how that student might fit into a particular setting. I mean, I know when I taught high school, I was, had hard conversations with students that wanted to go to big schools like Alabama, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, but coming from a really small rural high school, just conversations about, you might want to think about that, and visit that campus and see how it feels. And also those K-12 and teachers and counselors knowing what programming is available that particular student might benefit for, or being able to make connections for students who we know don't make friends or build relationships easily, helping them find it just one person on that campus where they're going to be living in the fall that they can go to and have somebody if they need somebody.
I was going to say, I mean, I think I can just reiterate all of that. I think I really can't overemphasize, particularly just having a foundational language about just how to navigate college. I remember going to school and there was somebody told me I needed to go see the bursar. And I was like, well, what is a bursar? I've never heard that term. And I know here at USM, we're actually working on trying to kind of compile a glossary of terms to be able to give to students, because we run into students, for instance, who, when we go and we say, well, again, trying to, as Kristen said, talk about self-advocacy. We said, well, have you gone and you've spoken to your professor? And they go, have you gone during office hours? And they go, well, that's the time when they're not supposed to be interrupted. That's when they're in their office. So there's a lot of very genuine, a desire to do right, a desire to really get in there. But, there's just this common lexicon. It's part of the hidden curriculum that we all presume that everybody knows. And so to even just to go and have the most common things of common offices that you would encounter maybe in your first, 90 days or in that first kind of admissions process would be incredibly helpful. Just in terms of navigating it, because then the entire concept doesn't seem so foreign, and it also doesn't seem so incredibly overwhelming. If I know that the bursar is really just business services and that's who I need to talk to, okay, well, fine, I can give them a call and talk to them about my bill. But a lot of that is just innately overwhelming to students, and to all my other colleagues here, really impacts that ability to self-advocate for oneself.
Yeah, and I think thinking about all those things y'all said, we have added some terms to that CCR curriculum, and so anything that y'all are thinking about like that, definitely like shoot us when it comes to transition and student success. We are trying to add those because it's like you said, even the small things can be a barrier for some students. I tell this story all the time, and it actually involved TJ. We were on a small community college campus about to do a presentation, and we walked in the room, and a young man was sitting there with all the lights off, sitting in the corner, kind of petrified, right? TJ was pretty petrified, and TJ walked over and talked to him, and he said, "Hey, man, what's up?" Like, it was like first day of classes or something. He literally had his schedule in his hand, did not know what MWF and TH meant, which all us old school folks kind of know what that means, right? Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, Tuesday, Thursday classes. It literally took TJ 3 minutes to explain what Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday meant. And that young man walked out of that room happy as a clam, off to his class. But I don't doubt if we hadn't found him, and that's not saying the college wasn't doing their job. This young man just he didn't know how to reach out. He didn't know who to go to. And I bet you he's still in college. It's just one of those small things. So yeah, I think as educators, if we can kind of break down that barrier of the language. So I appreciate y'all talking about that. So when talking about working with educators and folks on the high school side, um, what about your particular programs would you like to highlight, or is there a story about one of your students and their transition? I think storytelling is very powerful, and if people hear stories that you've worked with your students, maybe a story of one of your students that you can share with us that maybe our educators can go out and share with their students in their own way, like, hey, these people are here to help you. Dion, you got a story for us?
Sure. So, I started here, last, July. And in July, the only people at school are the football players. And, had a young man, African-American male, who just lost his father. And just lost, his male support, you know. And the only thing that he wanted to do was, to show his father that he was going to stay in college and play football and this and that. And it had took me a couple of weeks for him to open up to me, to express that to me. But I befriend him and let him know that I was there for him, encouraged him all the time. Didn't know that he lost his father. And he told me probably right before summer school was over with that I remind him a lot of his father, and that I encouraged him just as his father would. And that lightened my whole summer up, that the Man Up program was going to be very valuable to all students. That was, and so you just never know what area of life that you're going to touch with these kids. And my heart really goes, because I was raised up in four. My mother had four kids, and she was a single lady, and so I was the only boy, and I didn't have a male figure in my life as growing up. But as I got older, I had mentors and stuff and things like that that took the place of that. So that really encouraged me here on campus, and it thrives me to keep going today. To just know, and that guy, he sees me every week. He sees me every week, and we talk and we share thoughts and experiences and stuff. So that's good.
Thank you so much. But others, ways some of your programs, an example of a time where it's really changed the trajectory of a student's life.
Well, there was actually a time earlier this semester. I went and had connected with a young woman through our success coaching program. We go and we connect students with faculty or staff or GAs that are all trained. And they come and they meet essentially once a month with their elected representative, essentially. And in doing so, this young woman decided, she reached out after a meeting, and I said, oh, come on in. So certainly, let's go and talk. And she disclosed that her mother had just been sentenced and was going to be incarcerated, and that there were 3 minor children that did not have a place to go, and she was going to have to go home and take care of them. And that meant that she was going to have to drop out of school. And there were obviously some financial ramifications to that as well. And a lot of clearly mental health related implications, emotional support ramifications. And so one, to go and have someone share that kind of personal information with you is really an incredible gift, that they respect you that much to do that. But 2, it allowed us to go and get her connected with services outside of the university. It was allowed us to go and get her connected with the dean of students office who could be her advocate. It allowed us to go and get her some emergency funding that allowed her to stay in school not only this semester, but also to figure out a way to get her online classes so she could continue her program next semester. So to make sure that when we go and we talked with her, we didn't just go and say, well, tough luck, which would just be so completely heartless, but also to say, okay, this is a challenge. This is a big challenge, but how are we going to go and support you and figure out a way that you can get over your finish line? And so to go and have programs like success coaching that help go and create these networks for students, and frankly, create rapport with individuals that they might not necessarily have, that can help facilitate some of these connections, I think is really important.
Absolutely. Kristen?
So I don't have a particular story to share, but I will say just kind of if K-12 teachers could kind of help us with the narrative that we in the post-secondary setting want to help students. We're not here to just be like, you should know this, or we're not going to tell you that over and over. There are people on campus that really do want to help you. And it is really to our benefit if you stay and graduate. So that is ultimately our goal. And I tell students that all the time. And a lot of times, students will say, well, my high school teacher said there was not going to be anybody here to do so and so, or nobody was going to hold my hand or whatever. And I said that clear, as a K-12 teacher, nobody's going to do this for you in college. But the truth is that we are here to help support students through that transition. Now, ultimately, they do need to become independent, but it's not like we just kind of throw them to the wolves in the when they leave K-12 and come to the college setting. They do need to become independent, but there's processes and supports to help them transition and work through all of those. So, just like they go to the high school counselors when they need something, there are people on campus that are here to provide those same supports if they just know where to go and how to seek out that help.
Yes, definitely. TJ?
So my work here in the College of Forest Resources, from a programmatic standpoint, the work is fairly new, and we've just launched like after school program this semester and some summer programs this summer coming up. And so in terms of impact from those programs, I don't have stories yet. I have been fortunate to interact with a few students here. One who was out of school for a while for various reasons, personal reasons, family reasons. And there's a program at Mississippi State called Academic Fresh Start. And because of our interaction, we were able to communicate that information to the student, get them back in school, and get them on the pathway to get their grades changed over and get back in school and hopefully finish and graduate. But I will say, from two former positions, I've been able to work with student groups, the Student Government Association at one group, at one job, and then a mentorship group called Crew at another. And being a part of these cohort-based mentorship groups, with the first one that we call Crew, there were 19 students from a very small town, rural town, high school, that was a K-12 attendance center. These students participated in this mentorship group for 2 years. And I'm proud to say, that started in 2015, proud to say that all 19 of those students landed somewhere in some type of higher education setting, whether that was 2-year school, 4-year career certificate program. All are grown and gone, as I say, and doing well. And so I was fortunate to be a part of that. It's not that I did anything magical. And so it was definitely a lesson for me to be involved with those students. But just though being able to share my personal experiences, my lived experiences, but also have that consistency with those students, where they trusted me, they trusted me to be vulnerable and to share their failures, and I was able to offer that advisement and counsel to them for a number of years. Even now, some of them reach out to me for personal advice about like jobs and stuff, and of course ask for recommendation letters. But just being able, I know all of us, whether we're K-12 or higher education, to some capacity, some students will look up to us because of who we are, what we look like, the positions we hold, and just understanding the gravity of that and how we can be a mentor and a cultural navigator for a lot of our students when they're just trying to figure out everything.
Those are all great things. And I'm sitting here thinking, I used to be in college admissions before I came to get to college. So I'm not advocating that y'all run the road and visit every high school, but like, I really think it's important that our high school teachers and counselors know that y'all are out there. I mean, I think they know y'all are out there, but like how to communicate with their students, like how much, and I guess this is a question for me too, like how much are y'all highlighted in like publications that go out from like admissions that, hey, once you get to campus, like it's not just about getting you here because, I think back to what Kristen said, that's important. We want to get you here, but the goal of the university or the college is to keep them there. And so I don't know how much your universities are already doing this, but I think it's something that should be highlighted in a lot of the admissions materials because so many students are looking for that help. So are y'all being highlighted? Have y'all thought about ways where you can highlight what you do in the high school setting?
Well, if I could be the first to speak on that. We're in the process now of actually creating a video with myself and some of the students here. And with that video, we're going to be able to send a link to all of the counselors and the advisors in the area at all the high schools. And they'll be able to play that link in senior day or send it to parents and stuff. As well, we on Facebook and Instagram. That's the going thing nowadays, social media. And so that's what we're doing. We're in the process of making a video to send a link out to all the counselors and try to put the information out there.
I can, go ahead. Do you? Well, I can say at USM, we have a really, the Center for Student Success has a really close relationship with admissions. We go actually on admissions events. So we have tables that on all of the traveling events, except those that are essentially kind of out of state, will go and set up at those where students and their families can actually go and engage with us. A lot of the big kind of tentpole events here on campus, like, Go Gold Day, things like that, will be there for those events as well. And we're just now kind of rolling out a new initiative. We had kind of done homegrown emails from our office to specific populations, for instance, like transfer students. And we would get the list from admissions and send out, oh, we're so glad that you came, please know about our programs. But we're actually having more formalized systems developed in conjunction with admissions and their kind of, I would say, communication systems to get out to incoming freshmen, admitted freshmen, things like that. So.
Yeah, I'll say from an institution, Mississippi State is definitely communicating, student support resources, student success center, but specifically within the College of Force Resources, and specifically for my work that is focused on recruitment, retention, career advancement for underrepresented students. We are working to communicate the work within our college and within our the natural resources fields. There's a lot of misconceptions, misperceptions about, what does it mean to be in natural resources? Is it just log trucks and pulpwood trucks? And we know within the college that it's way more than that. And for a lot of our students, when we have these conversations at college fairs, when we do tabling, many of them may frown or they see the, pine trees and hard hats, and many of them have no interest in that. But within our fields, there's a lot more. There's whole technology. And so we have 4 programs. I'm gonna do a shameless plug. We have 4 programs: forestry, wildlife, fisheries, and aquaculture, natural resources, environmental conservation, and sustainable bioproducts, which is essentially wood science and wood engineering. And so from a marketing standpoint, we've created a quick 1-minute video because we know 1 minute is all we can take for video content that highlights some of our students, but it just sends a simple message that you belong here. And so although a lot of students from underrepresented populations don't see themselves in natural resources, we want to change that narrative. And so that video lives on YouTube. I'll drop it in the chat for everyone to access that. But we also have a brochure that supplements that highlights some of our former students. And so we want to share that message. And of course, if you're watching today or if you're watching later, we want you to have access to this video, and we would love for you to share it with students and parents.
Yeah, so Kristen, I'll pop over to you then and kind of piggyback off of that. What is the one program within your Student Success Center that you wish everybody knew about and you wish you could, kind of scream it from the mountaintops? Like what is the part of the program that y'all are really proud about at Delta State?
I think our like the one thing that I wish I could get more students to participate in is our free tutoring and supplemental instruction. It's free to all students, and we try to, place tutors and supplemental instructors in, our high risk or gateway courses. And so instead of students struggling through algebra and, just assuming, well, I'll fail it and take it over, if they could take advantage of the resources that are available to them the first time around, might not have so many repeats.
Absolutely. Ashley, what about a program within your Student Success Center at USM that you're really proud of and like to highlight?
I really am a huge supporter and advocate of our JUMP program, our JUMP Scholars program, which is essentially a college bridge program. We go and we have a number of general education courses that students can go and take during a fall intersession. Students move into their actual dorm room, not some other kind of room that they then have to move out of again. About 3 weeks before classes start, we go, and not only do they get to go and take these general education classes with faculty that are hand selected, that are really enthusiastic about the material and are there to support the students, but they also have student ambassadors who have been through the program themselves, can help them navigate that kind of initial change over to a new environment. And it also allows, I think, students in a very kind of broad way to get adjusted to campus. We do a lot of workshops on kind of, okay, well, what does it mean to be a college student? And what about time management and study skills? And, just to kind of have a firmer foundation when you walk into class. And while everybody else is, trying to look cool and confident, you can walk on campus and be like, oh yeah, no, I do have this. And so I know a lot of students have always done really, really well in those courses, and it's given them, I think, momentum behind them to really continue with that same kind of performance going forward.
Assume that you all are represented in orientations and things of that nature, both with the parents and the students. So it's really important that our students hear, from the get-go, even if they don't hear it in high school, they're hearing that in orientation. So we are getting close to our time. So I want to say, just in general, thank you all for the work you do. We know that our students need that support when they leave home. I myself am a college student at a university in Mississippi, and he doesn't ask for help very often. But knowing that you all are out there to ask for help. Any last words to our high school counselors, educators, career coaches, of kind of your wish list as they work with high school students making that transition? I'll give everybody a chance for one more plug there on how to work with their students. Kristen, we'll start with you. Last words of advice to our high school counselors, educators, and career coaches.
I think just we are, we have an open door. So any questions that you have, students that you have that, you want to connect us with, or if students have questions that you can't answer, we are happy to help in any way that we can.
I'll go next. Want our counselors to know that Itawam Community Colleges is doing their best to bring more of a diversity here on campus and to inform everyone that we are here to help you. We're on our hands and needles trying to reach out and inform the students that academic is successful. And that if you need us, you just let us know how we can help you for Man Up.
Likewise, please just don't hesitate to reach out to myself or my colleagues, or, obviously tell incoming students to reach out to us. We have an open door policy. And in fact, students on our campus or interested students can go and actually ask admissions if they want to stop at our office and meet with us individually on their way. So, know that whether they are thinking about being here at our institution, whether they are thinking about being at another institution, we want to make sure that they know that they're supported and that they're going to have help and resources regardless.
My final statement to educators who may be watching is to just know that the playing field for higher education has changed a lot. The way we experience school, quote unquote, back in the day is different. There's a lot of higher education practitioners at our colleges, people who have gone to college and gotten advanced degrees and focused on pedagogy that is geared toward serving students. And so we're not just a bunch of people in suits who are untouchable. We want our students to engage with us. We want to help students. Many of us have committed our life to higher education. And so when we say, hey, contact us, here's our email address, here's our phone number, while we do have a lot to do and we are busy and sometimes it takes a day or two to respond to emails depending on the week, we are here to help, and we want you to know that, and we want you to be able to relay that information to your students because our job is to get them to, through, and out of college.
Thank y'all again so much. I'm just going to do a quick wrap up here and share my screen, but I think I could probably say that these counselors, career coaches, educators could probably reach out to you all if they have questions about certain students that they might have a concern about that might be having an issue with this transition. So folks on this webinar and folks who will see it later, there are folks out there that you can reach out to. As Ashley said, even if you are thinking about going somewhere else, there are experts in this field who want to help see all of our students in Mississippi succeed, get to college, stay there, graduate, and that's what these folks are doing every day with their programs. So thank you all so much. I just asked Kirsten, said that we did not have any questions come in, but I'm sure that you all will, if y'all want to drop your email in the chat, remember default to everyone on that while we're wrapping up. You can certainly do that. So we just want to let you all know that we are almost complete with our Topic Tuesday series. This session today, we will send you a follow-up email and a survey for this, and we'll post it on our YouTube channel by the end of today. So if you have any follow-up questions, you can let us know about that. But stay tuned for our next Topic Tuesday webinar, which will be on Tuesday, April the 2nd. And in this webinar, we're going to be talking about steps to re-enrolling in college after pausing. So I think we have a lot of students who kind of do a stop out and they're trying to re-enroll, but just as we've talked in this session, don't really know the next steps to take after they've kind of taken that gap. So that will be the focus of our April webinar. And then we have our final Topic Tuesday webinar for the spring in May, and that will be closing the digital divide in rural areas. So once this is done for the spring, if you've participated in 5 webinars, you'll have the opportunity to apply for 0.5 CEUs. And if you've participated in all 10 over the fall and spring, you'll have the opportunity to apply for 1 full CEU. These webinars are also listed under the educator header on our website, and then select Topic Tuesday under the events section. While you're there registering, know that we have a whole list of resources there under the educator tab for you. And our newest one that we've been working on diligently and updating every week is our FAFSA updates. So as TJ said earlier, putting in a plug, I'm going to put in a plug for our FAFSA update portion of the website. We're updating that with all the latest information on FAFSA updates. And we're also putting and posting, as of last week, all the update videos that we've been doing on social media. We're also putting those on our website because we know some people do not have social media. So y'all go check that out. It's being updated constantly. So again, thank you so much for being here today. We want to thank our panelists once again for being here, and we appreciate all the work that you do, and enjoy the rest of your semester, and we'll see everyone in April for our next Topic Tuesday. Y'all have a great day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.